And everything that I do, no matter how weird it is actually based on something from the real world. And what creativity really is, I realise, is the recombining of familiar objects in an unfamiliar way. So then things suddenly look new, but at the same time there's a feeling of resonance, like we kind of know what these things are even though we haven't seen them before. They're not completely alien. With a lot of my characters, I will make three-dimensional models of them. If they are kind of very unusual looking, it helps me to draw them. And also helps me to believe in them. I have to kind of believe to some extent that these things could actually exist. I think there's this misunderstanding often with creative work that it's almost like a little bit divine or biblical, that it just like, it appears and you are creating in the full sense of the word. But you're really just transforming one thing into another thing, the way all living creatures do. So in terms of that compost, you know, all right, what is it? What are those minerals and nutrients? You know, where do they come from and how are they important? Well, for a start, just being really observant, like that's the most important thing, just observing ordinary things in day-to-day life and without any judgment about significance. And it's something that art allows you to do. It's not something you can do in your day-to-day life. You can't stop at a traffic light and start gazing at the beautiful colours in the traffic light. It means something. You have to go when it turns green. But if you're an artist, you can do stuff like that. Like I've often painted urban landscapes and I'm amazed at how beautiful the details look. Things like signage and so on. And even in the Lost thing where even though it's a very dark, critical universe, I do have an affection for those concrete blocks and faceless architecture. Like it's appealing to me, but only because I'm looking at it as an artist. So being observant and paying attention to the way things look, not what they mean or what's important. The more you draw and sketch, working in a sketchbook, the more you develop this vocabulary of various types of things that interest you. You find out who you are through what interests you. I have lots of sketchbooks. I have, you know, a whole library of books, both read and unread, lots of resources in my computer. But when I'm getting to the point of like doing an image like this, I very rarely stop and consult my reference section. I need to move forward quickly and act fast, you know, to have that connective stream of consciousness. All that sketching and research and looking and paying attention feeds into the mental library that you're able to draw on instantaneously at the moment that you need it in that stream of consciousness. And drawing for me is like when I go out sketching a landscape or when I visit a museum, I like to draw the things that I'm looking at because it stops them from being pictures in my digital camera and transfers them into my brain where it's more readily accessible in an emergency, which is when I need them. And creativity is like physical exercise. The more you do it, the stronger your muscles become, the more efficient. And so if you practice using your imagination a lot and sketching and doing sort of all these various little creative acts that you might do that seem like a waste of time, you'll be surprised at how valuable they are at the right moment. And things just pop up. You just get an idea for what shape a cloud should be or something, and it'll be based on something that you've studied before. But like with any academic stuff, it starts with study, building up that mental library.